Hello, this is the Steven and welcome back to another Batman 66 episode review. Today we'll be reviewing the episode Holy Rat Race, the part 2 to the False Face, first and sadly last ever time he'll be appearing on the show. So let's quickly get into it. A quick brief background what happened to the previous episode. Batman and Robin are up against the villain False Face. However, and during their attempt to capture him and find out about his overall plot, they are now trapped. They're put in a trap of being tied down to a railway line in an abandoned subway station with the train ever coming on. Just as this is happening, Alfred gets a call while listening to the radio. Men are called, but two are chosen. Realizing this is a brief hint to a clear hint to Batman and Robin, he then quickly calls them up, and Batman is asked to turn up the frequency on his wrist radio, resulting in an explosion. Alfred is hesitant, but follows through, resulting in the radio's explosion freeing one of Batman's hands. He then uses his laser. He then uses a cutting device to quickly get him and Robin quickly off the railroad tracks, just in time before they are run over. Falseface is not pleased with this and blames Blaze for this, and thinks Blaze might have something to do with it. Of course, Blaze denies it. As this is happening, Batman and Robin are at the Batcave, and Alfred reveals that he knew to call them courtesy of the radio. Robin believes that why would Falseface do this, but Batman says no, Falseface would not do this. But the question is who. While stumped on who they think would do it, they then do this. We then cut back to Police HQ when Chief O'Hara has been recovered, clearly with the Falseface, being impersonated by Chief O'Hara, is quickly revealed, and is in reviews showing this on the TV that night. Batman then really comes to the conclusion, in order to find a clue, they needed to check the radio station for where it was broadcast, hoping they might find a clue there. When they get to the announcer, who says who the person was just an anonymous announcer, but described who the woman was. It was Blaze, and paid for the announcement. He said that he gave an odd remark, saying that she would bank on it being false. Batman and Robin realize that she's obviously given a clue. They then go to Police Commissioner Gordon's office and reveal the whole thing. Clearly see, and here we get to clearly see that Blaze is changing, or at least is not fully bad. Is not fully bad, and is clearly helping. Realizing this, they then manage to come up with the whole scheme. The scheme is that Falseface plans to create a large sword of counterfeit money, but for what purpose? Realizing that the check was drawn to Gotham National Bank, it's clear what he plans to do. He plans to steal all the genuine money and put all the counterfeit money in. So as a result, Falseface will have the biggest payday, but at the same time he will cause havoc, as no one would tell whether their money is true or false. Realizing that this could be their one and only chance to capture Falseface, they set a trap. The next day, a security guard locks up for the night at Gotham National Bank, and it's revealed that this guard is Falseface. He and his crew quickly break in and plan to steal all the money in the bank and quickly get out. Just as they'd destroyed all the, taken out the alarm, they quickly make their way into the vault and plan to steal everything that isn't tied down. As they open, Batman and Robin are there, revealing their crime, revealing that they know everything, and plan to take Falseface and his hoods in. Falseface then orders his hoods to attack, whilst he quickly makes his escape, courtesy of disguising himself as a police, and quickly runs to his mobile. Batman and Robin and all the police subdue all the Falseface's goons, and then of course prepare for a chase. Just as they do this, we find as the audience finds out that Blaze is in the car with Falseface. Falseface makes his way back to his hideout. Batman, of course, managed to follow Falseface, but of course take down all the remaining hoods in the place, and Batman calls up Police Commissioner Gordon to send all available units to pick up the hoods. Batman, of course, then have a trap set on Falseface, resulting in essentially Falseface using up all the armor in his Trickmobile. And as Falseface is getting cornered, about to be apprehended, he makes his escape by using a sort of, I can't exactly explain it, but basically in his truck there's this bike, and he uses it as a sort of like a skate pod and rides around the whole facility. With Blaze now helping Batman and Robin trying to apprehend Falseface, they quickly knock him off his bike, and Falseface quickly runs into hiding. And just as this happens, Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara have made their way to the abandoned film lot. And of course, Falseface has used two disguises in order to get out. Once by disguising himself as this sort of barfly, I guess I could say barfly, but of course is quickly apprehended. But of course quickly is, his mask revealed that he's an imposter and has a quick fight with Batman. Falseface then of course quickly goes on a run again, where he disguises himself as Commissioner Gordon this time. Batman manages to see through because of one thing. He's using his handkerchief in his left hand when the Commissioner Gordon has always been a right. And just as Falseface quickly makes a run for it, Batman quickly stops him and unmasks him. With Falseface now clearly arrested, and the real Commissioner Gordon makes his appearance, saying that he thought he lost, his chance to apprehend, the Falseface. They take Falseface away, but Falseface declares that he will be back to finish what he started. We then cut to the final episode where Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson are at Wayne Manor with Aunt Harriet, who says that a criminal is here, a rehabilitated criminal, thanks to their rehabilitation program, to say their thank yous. And the criminal in question is Blaze. Already fully filled a character arc where she plans to live a normal life outside of crime thanks to Batman and Robin. We then end the episode there, where we finally find out the actor playing the villain in question, who will reveal later in the video, and also that the next week's villain will be Catwoman, who will be making her first appearance. The usual cast returns. Aunt Harriet, of course, in that ending scene, for me, I always find to be absolutely fun. And also how Alfred has a bit of help here in the episode too. Bruce Wayne, Batman, Robin, Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson, always great. Nothing really changes with the character in terms, but I do like how Commissioner Gordon had a bit of a change here in this episode. And by that I mean at the end when he gets impersonated by Falseface, which turns out to be Falseface's undoing, but also immediately as Falseface ran, Commissioner Gordon immediately took pursuit, showing that he is a cop through and through. And of course, here finally Falseface's real name is revealed, Malachi Throne, hopefully that name has been pronounced right, and this will be sadly the character's last appearance on the show. Now, it should be revealed that, again, like I said in the previous one, Falseface actually appeared in the comics, though the character actually appeared way back in and he appeared in the comics, although we mostly thought that this character was created specifically for the show. I always loved the look of the character with that fake face, and even though he doesn't have a proper costume, that fedora and suit just works. I can't help that this partly inspired the Black Mask character to appear in the later comics and the later years of the Bronze Age. I can't help but think did that happen. Now you could also argue this behind the scenes, this character was actually meant to be Two-Face's introduction. However, it didn't end up happening because the character seemed too threatening, so they adapted Falseface instead. Ironically, many people found Falseface to be just as scary, and that's why the character never fully returned. Now, when I did my top 10 episode villains a while back, Falseface was an honorable mention. So the reason why he didn't appear in the top 10 is a few reasons. One, he didn't have that much episodes to his name. He only had a two-part, and although I do find his episodes to be entertaining, I gotta admit, if you actually think about it, the character's not really that all unique. I mean, so many comics have a special, Master of Disguise character, or even a shapeshifter. You could even argue that this character was this show's version of Clayface. Hell, even in the Batman 66 spin-off comics, they would make the Clayface character, they would make Falseface reveal his real name, Basil Carlo, and he becomes the new Clayface. So you gotta admit to that. But also, he also reminds me of another villain who isn't even from the Batman Rogues Gallery, or even DC's, but from Marvel's Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery, the Chameleon. So you can't help but just think that. Despite that, I always found the character to be quite fun, and I really wish he could have been brought back. Malachi Throne, anyway, really did make for me bring this character to life. He's nothing more than a master of disguise, and he plays the character straight and intimidating, and has none of the campiness or none of the craziness that the other villains had so far on the show. But for me, that works, because this kind of villain, you need to play him straight, and he was done really well. But he's not the only thing that makes these episodes stand out for me. It's also the Blaze character, how she went through this arc, but also she's a no-nonsense woman at the same time. This character, for me, you believe this woman can handle herself, but she is not a bad person deep down. And Batman kind of helps her reform, although I do kind of find it comes out of nowhere in some places. I can't deny that her character is not at all interesting. This is a really great character as well, and for me, it made sense for her to be a one-and-done one. Character to only appear once and never return. It made sense, and it fit well for me. Holy Rat Race is just another great episode for me, and it really just is another great episode, and makes this two-parter really work. We get a lot of the outdoor environment, the Trickmobile being used, and it's just really feels like a really big action-packed episode, which is something that's really interesting. Whilst others have either been story-driven or relied on a theme, this one really feels action-packed, and Falseface for me is just one of those villains that makes it work. I also gotta admit, this is just a really fun episode. It's a really fun one, and it's definitely up there in my top 10 favorite episodes of the series. And it's really great to just see how it just went, and it's really great. Although for many people didn't like this episode around the time it aired, from what I was told, and I don't see how you could hate it. But yeah, it's a really fun and overall just really great and thrilling episode, and I find no faults with this episode. It's a really great one and a really interesting one. And there you have it, Holy Rat Race Part 2 to True or Falseface, which is another great episode and was sadly the last time we ever saw Falseface. So join us next time as we review the next episode in the series, which will be Catwoman's first introduction. So until then, same Steven time, same Steven channel, and so long for now.